Hey, well, under the video, It Could Happen to You, that I made a video called Christianity, Shame on You, that if you can get past my little monologue at the start, I try to film my laptop's screen, which is filthy. I don't know if it's always that dirty or if the light, because I had the light down, I had the light positioned on last night in such a way because it was late at night, and anyway, it's kind of embarrassing. I was thinking I might delete the video and redo it because I look really fat. Of course, that's because I am, but also because the computer screen is filthy, and also because the intro on that video, it just goes on and on and on, and it's like, anyway, but it's got 3 likes so far, so I think I'm just going to leave it alone. But I was looking at the actual video that called It Could Happen to You. God, it's such a powerful video, and he's, I guess a movie is in the works, and I think it's bridegroommovie.com. You can look it up, and there's a way to contribute financially to the project, which I hope to do if I can. I think it's really sad that this person, that Shane had to, well, that he's in the situation. He says, well, maybe this all happened for a reason. Maybe this is so that I can wake up and become a voice. Basically, it's like, it's really sad that the only good thing that can come from a young, beautiful person's death is the pleading with the world to not hate. Why do we have to do that at all? Why, and then somebody wrote under his page, or under the page on this video, that well, we really should be concentrating on the important issue, which is child abuse. What adults do with their lives, or what the decisions they make, or whatever. Yeah, that's important, but children can't help it. Children can't protect themselves, and that's really what is the huge tragedy, and that's what we really need to be focusing on, is stopping child abuse. I can't think, I have been in therapy for several years trying to figure out myself and where the depression comes from and stuff, and the weird, I'm hardwired in a way that causes me to repeat the same mistakes and get bond to people too much, and just, I had a real fear of being by myself. All these things come from my childhood, and I grew up thinking, well, my brother was really mean to me and he beat me up a lot. But I never really thought about what my mom did to me. And I never really thought of it as abuse because, when that's your only parent, and, you just think that that's the way it is with everybody's family. That's just the way it is. And you don't really see yourself as abused. But now I'm 50 years old. God, I hate saying that. 50 years old, and I'm still dealing with the damage caused by how I was brought up. It's like I have to, in my middle years, learn how to make friends. I never really learned how to make friends. I have to learn how to have healthy thoughts. I have to learn how to love myself. All these things that, all the damage that, so okay, I read a lot. I've read up a lot on the different forms of abuse, and there's different forms. There's sexual abuse, there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's emotional abuse, and the ones that create the deepest scars and the scars that last the longest are emotional abuse. Emotional abuse it goes hand in hand with all the others. You can't have physical abuse or sexual abuse without emotional abuse, because those things cause emotional abuse. But you can also have emotional abuse and not have sexual abuse or physical abuse. You could have emotional abuse because you have parents that either come right out and say things to you, or just by their actions make you feel like you can never measure up, or you're a disappointment. Or maybe you get mixed messages all the time, or maybe they play head games with you. My thought is, how many children are out there who, you know, their parents love them and their parents are encouraging them to be who they are and love themselves, but at the same time they see their parents react with disgust and hate whenever they see gay people, homosexual people together. Or maybe they hear their parents say, God, if I ever have a kid that's gay, you know, I'm going to shoot him, or whatever. Little kids who hear their parents say, or overhear their parents say, things that makes them realize that, you know, they can be who they are and their parents will love them, but it's only up to a point. That there are some lines that they can't cross. And there's certain things that their parents, this love that their parents have to them, that, you know, little kids, you grow up, you take for granted your parents' love. You feel like that's always going to be there. And it's not. When you start to figure out that your parents' love is conditional love, it's very hard. When you start to feel like, if I really tell my mom and dad who I really am, they're not going to love me anymore. They're going to disown me, or they're going to threaten to kill me, or whatever. They're just not going to love me anymore. And then you have to hide who you really are. You have to go through your life pretending to be something else because you don't want to lose your parents' love. You don't want to lose your parents' support. You want your parents to be proud of you. You want your parents to be there for you and believe in you and back you up. And you just, I mean, how important is it that you have your parents' love? You know? So you hide who you really are. You go through the motions of being somebody else, and basically you shove who you really are in a dark corner, and you have shame about yourself. You're ashamed of who you really are because your parents, the people you look up to, are making you feel like that's a bad thing, that's dirty, that's a sin, that's an abomination. That part of you that, you know, you've had in you your whole life, and you keep that to yourself and you hide it and you're ashamed of it, and it's impossible for you to really love yourself, because then you'd have to love that part of you. And how can you love that part of you if your own parents can't love you? And you have to hide it from your own parents. And then one day you find somebody. You know, when you're out there walking around and living your life, you don't expect to fall in love. You don't go, oh, I think I'm going to go to the mall and find love today. I'm going to go shopping for some love. I'm you know, okay, I'm to the point now in my life where I'm going to find somebody to love. That's not how it works. Usually when you go looking for love or you go chasing after it, it runs the other way. The moment love happens for somebody is when you stop caring and you stop looking and you stop making it be a huge deal that you have this somebody in your life who loves you, you know. That's when it happens, when you least expect it. You know, and maybe you've met other people that you've managed because you keep this part of you tucked away and hidden, you know, because you're so ashamed of it. Your parents have taught you to be ashamed of your own self. But then one day you meet somebody, and that person, oh my God, they totally, totally see you for who you are. They see everything about you and love you regardless of everything. I mean, they just love you, and they make you feel good to be around. They make you feel complete and happy, and you've never laughed so much in your life as when you are with these people. And of course you want to be with them because it's all these things that you feel, and you come to care for them. And then one day you just realize that you care for them more than you. That becomes more important to you than hiding it anymore. Or maybe you're just tired of hiding it, who you really are. And And you think, well, maybe if my parents really love me, they will be happy for me that I found somebody who makes me feel this way, makes me happy. Look at me. I mean, so you get up the courage. You get up the courage to tell your parents, hoping that, maybe if I tell them and they see how happy I am. So you hope against hope that they're not really going to be all these things that you fear. And you tell them. It's probably the most bravest, courageous thing you've ever done in your life. You tell them, you confess, you bring this part of you that you've been hiding in shame your whole life out. And say, look, Mom, look, Dad, this is who I am. This is me. This is me. This is really me. And look what I've found for myself. Look at this beautiful person that I've found in my life who I love so much. Nothing is more devastating to a child than rejection from a parent, or abandonment of a parent by a parent, or knowing that your parent looks at you like you're a failure. Nothing is more devastating than that. And having to grow up with that, and having to fake who you are because you don't want to lose your parents' love, that is emotional abuse. That is creating scars that you live with your whole life. That is the kind of abuse that you are still dealing with when you're 50 years old or 70 years old. Child abuse is bad no matter what. But you know what? Part of child abuse is how a parent makes a child feel about themselves. It's the message that the parent gives to the child. The message that there are strings attached to their love, and if you don't conform to what the parent wants you to be, you're not going to get to, they're going to withdraw their love, and they're going to abandon you. And imagine growing up with that feeling of insecurity all the time. Well, if I really show Mom and Dad who I am, they're not going to love me. That's child abuse. It's wrong. It's just wrong. And I'm really glad that Shane is making this movie about what happened, this love story that was his relationship with Tom. There are so many stories like that. Because of a Bronze Age book that people want to... I mean, we grew up hearing the song, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. I remember when I was a little kid, I used to think of the books that had authority. I mean, really had authority. And they were the dictionary, and the encyclopedia, and the Bible. That's how I grew up thinking, that the Bible was, the Bible knows all this stuff. The Bible tells me so, so it's true. Nobody knows who wrote the Bible. Mostly it's stuff put together by the church. Who's to say? I mean, the people who put the Bible together had prejudices and bigotry and sexism and all the same biasness and hatred that people today have. And the message, that's why I couldn't be a Christian anymore. When I started seeing all these things in the Bible that were just like, oh, that's not, and then the idea that, well, there is a Satan, and Satan changes the chemicals in your body, and that's what makes you. First of all, I don't believe that there's a Satan any more than I believe there's a God. But if you're saying that it's a change in your body, a chemistry in your body, then how can people be an abomination for something? That's like saying that you're to blame for mental illness. And, I'm sorry, but it isn't a mental illness any more than epilepsy is, well, that's an illness. I don't think of homosexuality as an illness at all. I think there's more than one. I think there's shades of gray in humans and other species of animals too. I think that, we want to well, especially with religion, the influence of religion. We want to look at everything black and white. You're either a man or a woman. You're either good or evil. You're either a Christian or you're in Satan's army. There's no shades of gray, but in the real world, there are shades of gray. In the real world, there is no straight lines or perfect triangles and squares and circles. In the real world, there's softness and form, that shapes that change. People are people, and some people are born, they're going to be whoever they are. And you want to categorize people and put them in little boxes and say, you have to either be this or this. And if you're not one of these things, then you're an abomination. And then that comes down to your children, and your children are growing up thinking that mom and dad are going to think I'm an abomination if I just express who I am and be who I am. Can you imagine growing up and not ever getting to really be? Loving yourself is so important. How can you love yourself if you feel all the time that your parents won't love you if you're yourself? Anyway, I call that abuse. I think abuse is wrong. I think that Christianity is wrong for perpetuating this kind of attitude in people and this causes child abuse. This causes families to split up. This causes people to commit suicide. It wrecks lives. It wrecks people's self-esteem. And this is getting long, so I'm going to end it. I just think that abuse is wrong, and this is abuse. And I think that it's really horrible when parents can't accept their own children, nurture their children, and support their children, regardless of who that child is, or wants to be, or becomes. You know? So, anyway, end of rant. Thanks for listening. Bye.